For the circles block, these are going to be the pieces that go top and bottom, and these are going to be the side pieces. You're going to make these different circle units and then join them together into these rows there and there. And you'll notice in the quilt that we're flipping one of them round when we actually sew it in, and one of these round when we sew it in. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different backgrounds. This white background, you're going to need 4 squares at 4.5, and that's only going to go with that colour here, number 9. The other backgrounds, you'll need 8 squares of each, and they will get used twice, so there'll be 4 circles in this colour on this background and 4 in this colour on the same background, and so on. You've got all that calculated on the next page. So here is your cutting for the backgrounds: 4 of fabric 38, 8 of fabric 16, and so on, all 4.5 inch squares. You're also going to need 44 4.5 inch squares of your backing, your stabilizer. There's my piece of fusible web, 3.5 by 14, and you're going to need 11 pieces like this. Now I'm going to take the fabric that's going to go on my light background. So if I look back at the first page, on the square of number 38, I want fabric 9 for my circles. So here's my fabric 9. It's a nice bright blue. So we'll peel the backing off, place this down on the fabric, making sure I'm not over the selvage, so I can see a bit through the fabric, and I'm going to try and line it up reasonably with the crosses so I get a nice look, like that. Now I'm going to take it to the iron and use my Teflon mat on top and then fuse that on. And now that's stuck down, I can cut out the fabric. That's out of the way. So you're going to be in production mode with this because we have 11 fabrics to work on the circles. I'm trying to make it as pain-free as possible for you. Okay, so there's a piece of fabric, fusible webs on the back. If you don't want to use a compass or the quick trim or the cutter, I have given you a template and you can cut that out and trace around it. Or you can make yourself a cardboard template to trace around. And I need to make sure that I don't waste fabric, so I'm going to fold that in half and then this into the middle to mark out my squares that I'm going to cut the circles from. Give myself enough room. With this quick trim and circle ruler, you need a pin, and then underneath you need something that your pin is going to stick into. I'm using my wool pressing mat, but a piece of cardboard would work well. It's got to be fairly strong just to hold things in place. So I'm going to put the pin in to the pivot point at the 1.5 inch point here, there, and that needs to go in the center of my square. So if I fold this way as well, and also this way, I've then got a center point for my circle. So the pin is going to go there, and I've stuck that through. Now I'm going to take my pen, that's the 1/2 inch, this is the 1.5 inch. Pop that in and then push the ruler around like this. So if you hold your pin there, your circle ruler is going to go round. And you might have to swap arms. It's going to come around like that. So I've drawn my circle, and I can then cut out the circle with my scissors. If you've got a compass, it's the same idea. This is just like a compass really. So you open your compasses out to 1.5 inches and draw around. So to use the tool, I've removed the paper from my fabric, and now I have a lovely tacky side to it. And that is going to grip onto my cutting mat while I'm cutting. Here's my circle cutter. I'm using the inches, which is the measurements on the top. And here's the pin part. So this is like your compass pin. And this side of it is going to line up with our 1.5 inch point. So it's got these little dimples here. That's 1 inch from away from this is our actual blade. Do keep the safety on your cutters at all times. So here's the blade, and this dimple mark indicates 1 inch away from the blade. We want to be 1.5 inches from the blade, and so I'm going to this center mark here in between these two dimples, which is going to be there, and then I can tighten that up. Okay, and then I need to take the safety off. I would suggest practicing this before you go full tilt with your fabric, if you want to make sure you don't waste any fabric. So I've made a mark here at 1 3/4 up, and that's going to be the same distance from both sides. I'm going to put my compass in there, push the safety up, and then you're grabbing onto this thing here and drawing it around in a circle. Okay, so there's my 3 inch circle. Sometimes you have to get your little scissors and cut it off. So there's one circle which is going to go onto this background. So if I mark the center of my background by folding up this way, finger press, fold up this way, finger press, make sure I've got it the right side up, and then the center of my circle, which is where the little hole is going to go in the center there. And there's my dot. So my next circle, I'm coming along this center line. Make sure that I've got enough space. Check the space there. Check the space there. I'll just go up a bit. Yeah, okay. So then I'm going to hold it like this. And just snip off any loose threads. Oh, there's my second one. So when you're doing this on your mat, just make sure you're not going over parts that you might have gouged out a bit. My large mats are ones that have done a lot of service in the shop, so they have big gouges at the 1/2 meter mark. So you can experiment with the best way to do this for you. I've found that having the backing off I prefer, because it stops everything from sliding around. But if you have your backing on, it can work just as well. There's our point there, point there. Just go up a little. There. Right. Going to start at the top. Come down like this. go. And then once you've got all of your circles cut out, you can then fuse them down, match up your threads and applique stitch around them. So happy going around in circles.